So often when we build amazing no-code solutions, we need to share them with people. Sometimes those people are internal to our organization and they're going to have edit permissions inside of that data. But other times, we just want to share a view. We want to give a snapshot to someone external. Well, that is exactly what we're going to be covering in this video. So if that's of interest, stick around and let's get into it. Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Gareth, and this is Gap Consulting, where we help you get the most out of your no-code tools. SmartSuite is one of our favorite no-code tools for back-end database building, as well as some light automations and a little bit of sharing of data. And in this video, we're going to be dropping into how we can share some read-only views inside of SmartSuite. But before we get to that, I first want to invite you to join me for some automation training. Automation is the key cornerstone behind all no-code solutions, and it's going to wind up saving you tons of time when you understand how this works. So this free training I put together, you can sign up for at gapconsulting.io/webinar-registration. That is going to allow you to get free access to that training so that you can get up to speed quickly with no-code automation. But without further ado, let's hop on into my screen here and talk about how we can get moving in SmartSuite views. So first and foremost, I am inside of a template called Event Planning. If you're already a SmartSuite user, I encourage you to open up your SmartSuite account and follow along with me here. You can install the template from your home screen back in SmartSuite if you go to the template gallery and find the event planning template. If you're not already a SmartSuite user, consider using our affiliate link that I will share next to this video so that you can send a little bit of love back to the channel. It would be greatly appreciated. So let's go ahead and hop into this now and just briefly break down what's happening. We've got different events that are connecting to schedules here. We've got different venues that we're going to perform at or host our events. We have speakers, we have attendees of these events, we have event staff, and we have vendors. Well, here I'm looking at schedules. So these are two different events kind of broken up, the annual VIP showcase and Fresh 2.0. And we've got a schedule for these events. This one in February, this one in December. Well, over here you can see that we've connected to the speakers for various components of these events, right? So throughout the event, we've got right here the Fresh 2.0 closing remarks that are going to start at 3 p.m. Over here, we've got the Fresh 2.0 opening remarks that start in the morning. So you get the idea. We're listing out a bit of a schedule throughout the day. Now, let's say we wanted to share this schedule with our team. We would have different schedules for different events. Now, these events are back here, and while you might not see them, they are linked to our schedules on the back end. So if I were to open this up and look at fields to display, we're going to see the link to events. Right here, we have events that we can include, and you'll see that these are all assigned to the annual VIP showcase, and then we've grouped by that event with the sample data. Similarly, this event is the Fresh 2.0, and we've grouped by that. So these things are linked, connected together from events to schedules. Now, wouldn't it be amazing if we could create links that have the schedule for each event? This is kind of one of those pro tips where if we're sharing this with a team, maybe we're sharing this with the event staff, and we want them to be able to quickly pull up on their phones or pull up on a laptop and figure out what's coming next on the schedule. Let's give them a link just for this event. They don't necessarily need to have edit access. They don't even need any greater level of permission to see all the other stuff. We just want these folks to see the schedule. So first and foremost, let's create a place to store these links. So here inside of my events, I'm going to go to my grid view here. It's a little bit easier for me to build new fields inside of a grid view because it just looks more like a spreadsheet and feels very comfortable and familiar. So here I'm going to add a new field just by clicking on the plus, and I'm going to add a link field here. It's going to be a URL that I'm adding, and I'm just going to call this the event schedule link. And so now each of these events is going to have one of these links that we're going to create here. Now I'm going to go back to my all active events, and we see this is a different type of view. This is a card view type. And in here, I can actually add more information to these cards. And I want to access the fields to display and find that link that we just created, that new field. We called it event schedule link. Now, just by bringing it in right here, we now see that it's showing up here on our screen. If I can click in here, I can also scroll down and find that new link. It's going to be hiding here probably at the very bottom. And here's that event schedule link. I can move this up, rearrange this however I would like. But for now, what I want to do is just make sure I have a place to store this information so that I can share it with the different folks that are going to be staffing the various events. Okay, so now let's roll back into our grid view. Remember, this is our events. We want to create those share links for our schedules. So the first thing we can do is decide how we want this data to show up. So in this case, maybe we love the grid view, and so we can go and create a new view. We have a lot of different options. By the way, we can go grid, card, calendar, Kanban, timeline. Pick the view that makes the most sense for whatever data you're working with in this particular case. For our use case, like I said, I'm going to go with that grid view type. And the first one I'm going to create here is going to be a view for the annual VIP showcase. So I'm going to name it that. Annual VIP showcase link. I'm going to create the view here. And now I can establish what I want to have showing up here in the view. So first I have to choose what is going to come in. What different things am I going to share? I will bring in things like time slot and location so that we know where these various things are happening, as well as type, maybe even bring in some things like status. The idea is we can customize this particular view however we want so that it looks exactly how we want it to, and we only share the information that is relevant for the people that we're sharing with. Okay, let's imagine that this is the data we need. Next, it's time to filter this down. So we're going to apply a filter where this is only pertaining to this particular event. So I will establish that the event is exactly, and now I can select the annual VIP showcase. And you can see that now we've filtered down the amount of data that's visible in our schedule so that it's only the data for this particular event. Next, I'm going to apply a bit of a filter after resizing some of these columns. And I want to make sure that things are in chronological order with the beginning of the day showing up at the top. So here on time slot, I can click on sort here and I'll find that time slot field. Let's filter it down, time slot. I can go time slot start and put it 1 to 9 chronological order. Now you can see that this has been sorted chronologically, with the first things popping up at the top and the end of the day showing up at the bottom. So there we have it. Let's actually bring in one more field here before we sign this off. We can make it for speakers, and just that easily we can add all these different components so that our event staff knows who is speaking, where they need to be, what type of schedule this is, etc. Everything is visibly displayed for them here. So now that we're happy with the way this has worked out, right? We've created the view, it's time to share it. So we can go to share view here, and you see we have quite a few different options. Number one, already here, just by saying share view, when I toggle this on, that now means that this URL is live and available. If I did not toggle this on and I just shared this URL right here, then it would not do anything for us. Let's actually open that up. Remember, I've toggled it off right now. When I go here, it says the requested shared view is not available. So this is a control for you back inside of SmartSuite to make sure that you're only sharing stuff that you want to share. So assuming that I do want to share this, let's toggle that on. And now when I go back to this and go to this link and I access it, I do not have to be signed into SmartSuite. What I see is the data in that view. Now notice that I can't do anything here. This is read-only access. So this particular approach is most valuable when you're sharing with folks who will not be editing the information. Otherwise, you're going to want to have them added to your SmartSuite account so they can actually update the data directly in the system. All right, now heading back over, let's talk about our different options here. Number one is sharing all fields. You see that if we mouse over this, it says this will only allow users to view fields that are included in the view and restrict them from seeing all available fields in the table. So if you recall, like going back here, we have so many different fields that are hiding right now. We've only elected to show 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the different fields. So if we make this selection, then we will be sharing all of the fields. So even if it's not in the view, it will be available to people who are accessing the view. Also, we have the option here to allow data to be exported. So if we go over to our view, this is the shared link here. I click up here, because this is toggled on, I have the option to print this page and also export the data. I can send it to a PDF, Microsoft Excel, Google Sheets, or a comma-separated value or CSV file. So a lot of different options here that I can access. So this makes it easier for me as a user to manipulate that data external to the system. If you want that option, make sure you've kept this toggled on. Now we can also allow viewers to open the records here. Let's check this option right here. And first I'm going to go back to our view. You'll notice that I cannot open these records right now. I must first refresh the page so that it reloads with the new setting. Now I am able to actually get an arrow here, this little expand icon, that allows me to open this record up and see what's inside. Notice right now that I only see 6 different elements, 6 fields. And that is because, let's go back, we have not elected to share all fields. So what happens if we come back here and refresh our page once again? Let's do this. Now we are able to not only open up these records as you saw, but now I see all of the data that is here inside of a record, not just the stuff that is shared on the view. So this is how you can enable your team to interact with the data, even though it's read-only. They can still go a lot deeper into the data if you select these options for them. Now we also have display toolbar. Let's flip back into our active link. The toolbar is this area right here that will allow our users to, decide maybe what fields to add. So because we've allowed them to see all of the different fields, they could add more to the view. Let's say they said, oh man, I really need to know what the notes are for these different scheduled events. Well, boom, just like that, they now have notes available inside. Alternatively, they might want to sort this in reverse chronological order. There we go. The later events or later schedules are now showing up at the top. So they have full control over this in terms of how they are going to filter it, how they are going to view it. Note that they cannot override the filters that you applied. So in this particular link, this is the annual VIP filter that says only that event is showing up. Well, they can't come in here and say event has any of beyond just that one event that we've already filtered. So they can't override our filters, meaning they can filter down further from our filter, but they can't override and start fresh from all of the data in this table. That's a really important thing to know when you're sharing these to make sure that you're giving the right level of filter permissions. Let's head back and take one last look. We have the final option of restricting access with a passcode, which I will make 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Must be 6 characters long. I've now engaged that passcode. So when I go back to the live view, this is just a level of added security here. I've refreshed my page. As it reloads, it's going to say, hey, before you access this, you've got to enter that passcode. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There it is. I've now entered the passcode, clicked enter, and it's going to take me to the shared view. Now, some closing thoughts here. As we started at the beginning, we were back here in the events table and we created a place to store and share the event schedule link. Remember, the link that we just created, this share link, is only for the annual VIP showcase. So let's go back to Annual VIP Showcase. We can go up into our URL, up into our browser, and I just perform a copy on the URL. I bring it back over here and I paste it right here. Another way of grabbing the exact same information, though, is to come back here to the schedule, go to View as Shared, and copy this link right here. So I can just click right here on the Copy Shared Link, and then paste that into another area of my database. Note that I can also regenerate a shared link if I feel this one has been compromised. I can also embed this on a website if I want to do that, or I could just hit this, which allows me to go right to the link. So the whole purpose behind this concept is that now I've created that share link and I've added it back to my events. And if I really want to make this a little more attractive, I could even use a button field type that references the event schedule link. So let's allow this button to open a URL, and I'm going to use a formula that references my event schedule link. I'll go in here and just reference that one field and bring that in. And let's add our new button. And now you see that in the case where I have a URL put into this field, I can now click the button. And now all I have to do is click the button, take me right to the schedule for this event. It's going to open up and ask me for that password. Let's drop it in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Very secure. Now I'm inside of that scheduled link. So this way we're able to really share our information in a way that allows others to access what they need with just a few clicks. A closing thought here for me is I would go back to my card view, which is where we started, and I would actually go to my fields to display. I would remove the event schedule link and I would add my button. Let's bring the button in here because it's a little more attractive on a card, and that button is now easily available. Again, I can just click it right from the card. Hey, I know we went pretty quick in this video. Do let me know what questions you have by dropping them below. And in the meantime, my friend, keep on building.